LNK9. And now because it's a brick to a
Right.
child, right? It can't be used. And so now she is. It's very interesting watching the transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
super interesting. So was that something, and if you're okay, we're rolling now. Are you okay with that? Just kind
Yep.
of awesome. Was
I'm
that
easy.
was that one of your motivations to creating it?
No, truly it was just, um, I was asked to evaluate some technology in Europe for somebody who was interested in improving safety in firearms. And I would have never been working on this because my lean manufacturing, helping Ream air conditioning improve, helping um, Dell Computer, helping Nike distribution, those improvement jobs feed you because you actually help. It's like going to be your concealed carry classes.
Right.
You know you're doing something better for that person and making their life better. And so those were very rewarding. And I would have never thought I was going to be back in firearms, actually. But I was asked to go look at this technology, and I went and looked at it, and they were asking $3 million for it, and I just couldn't see it wouldn't work. I knew it wouldn't,
Interesting.
and I didn't think it was good. And so I came home and I started drafting patents on tech in firearms, and uh, went and got those issued
Hmm.
and put them in 2019. And um, because there is something better we can do, and
Yeah.
and there is and it's funny. And if I ramble on, uh, sometimes people tell me I talk too much.
Oh
So
my gosh,
just,
this episode, no, those people, let me speak to those people really quick. This episode is actually all about you. So you have to ramble, actually. Sorry, you have no choice.
well, we were doing a show in Birmingham for Mark's Outdoors. And it's like a little mini Bass Pro kind of store.
Okay.
And they were having a safe day, and it was to sell Browning safes. And they said, come and put a booth up. And, so people were walking in and we're going, hey, you want to look at something? And
Right.
walking them over. And a couple walks up, and she's obviously pregnant. It turns out their baby is due in August. It's going to be named Anita.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
uh, she looks at her husband and she said, this is it.
Mm,
This needs to be on your bedside,
I love
not
that.
the gun you have.
Mm,
She goes, this is perfect. And then I looked at the husband. I said, yeah, but you have your long guns, right? You hunt, you do other sports. So go buy a Browning safe. They're 40% off
oh,
over.
40% off? Where, dang it,
It
where
was
was I?
crazy. It was
Okay, anyways.
crazy. And I said, go buy one of those and then buy this one too. And
Right.
because we put the safe in the gun. And they were like, oh yeah. And and whenever what we know is whenever we can put this firearm in somebody's hands, they get it. They go, oh, so I can just unlock it in the morning and it just stays unlocked in my holster all day. And it's just a gun. And it's like, yeah, it's just a gun.
Right.
And I said, or for me, I have it sitting on my bedside. I don't even have it plugged in. But I have deep sleep disabled, and I'm on 7 weeks now of battery, you know, it, and it's at 60%
Incredible.
after 7 weeks. So the battery lasts a long time.
Right.
And it is interesting when you put it in their hands, people go, oh, wow. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we even had one man in his 60s, went home, got 3 of his firearms, traded them in, and bought the gun.
That's incredible.
It
That's
was wonderful.
incredible.
It was
And
wonderful. Every time I start to doubt, I go to a gun store and then I'm happy.
right. And that might, for the listener, which we haven't even done an official intro here, which is my
Oh,
favorite
sorry.
way to start. No, that is my favorite way to start the episodes. The whole like, tell us about yourself. People always freeze and they're like, I don't even know where to start. So this is the best. You might be listening and thinking, If you read the title, you know what we're talking about. We'll get there in a second, but you might be thinking, oh, 3 guns. Like this person had to trade in 3 guns to afford this firearm. This is very affordable, in my opinion, for the quality and everything you get and the tech behind it. I'm actually very surprised at the MSRP. So that is not the case if you're listening and you maybe caught that, because I heard that and I was like, I need to make sure I clarify. But for those of you that have not read the title, I am sitting with the co-founder, correct? You have another founder. Okay, I want to make sure I say that
Yep.
right. Of Lodestar, Ginger Chandler. This woman is so incredibly impressive, you all. I'm so excited to uh, learn everything today, Ginger, about you as a person and pick your brain about biometric firearms, which, by the way, I remember sitting in a theater. I think it may have been, oh gosh, James Bond, is it Starfall or Skyfall?
Skyfall.
Skyfall,
Yeah.
I think, when he handled the biometric firearm. This may be the wrong James Bond movie, so don't quote me. And I remember thinking, I want a gun when I'm older, and the only way I'd ever buy a gun is if it was that gun with the fingerprint. And I remember thinking that as a kid. And so it's so funny now, just totally forgetting about that, all the way to, of course, Adele dropped an amazing album for that movie. So I didn't totally forget about the movie. But
Right.
now, firearms kind of being my life. And I was organizing the studio before today's episode, and I think I had 5 guns in my hand from something I just filmed. And I was just like holding them, carrying them to my office like this, all slide back, all empty. Being like, oh God, I
Yeah.
gotta get the studio ready. And my world is vastly different now, but so many people need a solution like this firearm. And we're going to talk about those applications today. And I'm really excited. I actually have some personal things I want to share that I've actually never shared with any of social. So I think that'll be interesting today. To get a little personal with you all. But yes, thank you so much for being here, Ginger. I'm so excited to be talking with you. I think the fact that your daughter is now comfortable with a firearm in her home
Yeah.
because of this
Daughter-in-law.
gun,
Daughter-in-law.
daughter-in-law, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, is so incredible to hear. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
But yes, you were saying, I don't want to cut you off. If this feels like a good time for you to give your kind of background, go for it.
Okay.
Yes.
Raised in Texas, and
Beautiful.
if you're from Texas from the 80s, I mean, I was born in the 60s, but if you were raised in Texas, you were given a curling iron and a revolver when you're born. And
Yeah.
so guns were just a part of our life. They were
Right.
just an easy thing
I love
and
that
not
saying.
even a thought. I mean, not even a thought. It was just they're there. And we were taught, like, don't touch, run away. I love the the NRA safe for kids, but
Yes, Eddie the Eagle.
yeah, Eddie
Yeah.
the Eagle. And I I ended up going to school at Lamar University, Beaumont, Texas, got a mechanical engineering degree, and I wanted to work on space. And everybody was being laid off in Texas in the 80s. And I was married, I had gotten married, and my husband was in the oil field and an engineer in the oil field, and it was like, oh my gosh. And there was a company in Utah that was doing the space shuttle, the solid rocket motor, after the Challenger accident. And they offered to hire us as a pair. And so we were hired as a pair and moved west and knew nothing. I mean, we were in an old Volkswagen and we had to bring the toolbox with us driving west, and because we knew it was going to break down somewhere, and it did in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And we made it over to Utah and got to work on space. But then after the relaunch, it just got to be boring. But the technology that's in the space shuttle is in airbags. And they hired me to be the explosive design engineer. And I
So cool.
loved it because I got to design airbags and the explosion. And like my first patents are on how an airbag works,
Oh my
how the
goodness.
passenger side airbag
So
works.
cool.
And my husband was running operations for airbags, ran their largest plant in Brigham City. And we learned the Toyota production system there. And um, we ended up leaving there and making our way all the way up to Connecticut. And I started consulting, lean consulting, and did that for 10 years. And my daughter came home, Savannah came home. She was young and she said, Mom, I don't want you to travel anymore. And I said, okay. So I tried to be a stay at home mom. That didn't work out very well. And my husband was running operations at Smith & Wesson at the time. And he had given me a 1911. And I started shooting. And I don't know about you, but when you can go to the range and shoot, you don't think about what's going to be made for dinner. You don't think about anything else. You think about your front sight. You think about,
Right.
and I loved it. And we were at dinner with, my husband was a vice president there, and we were at dinner with the leadership, and they were struggling to make the black rifle. And I said, well, I know how to build production lines and I know how to do product development. And
Hi.
so they and so they hired me to bring in the black rifle line, and we did it really fast. And we made it, it was great. And so they asked me to run engineering and be over product development for Smith & Wesson and process development. And so I looked around at that time, they were just launching the M&P, and they didn't have all the calibers. They were having trouble with the mag, so we worked on that. And but they weren't launching guns. I mean, they weren't doing a lot of development. And so we sat down and brainstormed and said, what do we do? And that's when we came up with the M&P 1522. I don't know if you're familiar with that
I'm
little
not.
rifle.
No, but
Well,
that's because of my lack of
it's okay. It's
knowledge in that
okay.
area.
It's
Okay.
really, really cool because it was designed with law enforcement in mind. It has all the controls of the modern sporting rifle, but it's in a 22 caliber, so they could shoot a lot and make it more interesting, but they could learn all the controls, where their hands go, how they do it. And so we thought about all of that, and that was the first gun that we brought through the whole cycle. And then they went from launching one gun every 3 years to launching 3 guns every year. And it was a wonderful experience. I think the engineers that I worked with at Smith & Wesson are some of the most talented people I've ever worked with, and sing their praises every day, every day. I mean,
Wonderful.
they're great. And so long story short, did Smith & Wesson. We ended up, my husband left there. He went to a job in New Hampshire. I followed, went back to school. Remington hired
Nice.
me in Huntsville, Alabama, when they were standing their facility up there. And I was running product development for Remington for 3.5 years in Huntsville. And gosh, it was such a neat facility. Loved that facility. And I think they just lost their way. And,
Okay.
and instead of consolidating into Huntsville, they ended up buying Dakota Arms, Montana Barrel. They bought all these things, and managing all that was tough. And so they started having to cut costs
Oh
and
goodness.
eventually laid me off.
Mm.
And I decided to go back to lean consulting because it's my easy button, and start a website to help inventors in firearms accessories. And that website's called Go Gear Direct. I still run it today. It
Amazing.
was a labor out of my garage. I did pick, pack, ship every day
Oh wow.
while I was doing consulting with Ream.
Oh my goodness.
And
Ugh.
it was crazy, and love helping invention and inventors. And that's when the people at Lodestar asked me to go to Europe and look at the tech. And so I I just love the innovation and making things better and
Yeah.
coming up with solutions for people's problems. And I think the LNK9, it's addressing a problem. And and the tech had evolved, right? The biometric that's in your phone, sometimes it doesn't read, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. Sorry. Can we just talk about this? My MacBook Pro especially hates me, it will not let me in. I'm like, when when you're running late to a call and you just in the nick of time you hit start meeting, mine's like denied, denied, and then I have to type in my password, which is like 20 characters. Anyway, sorry. There's my little rant.
No, no, but that is true. And so,
Yes.
and that's the biometric I used when I first made the prototypes. And
Interesting.
the CEO, who's a little bit older, he's now chairman of the board, and I've moved to the CEO role. But his fingerprints are worn down, and it wouldn't work, and I was so embarrassed. I
Oh
mean,
man.
my boss, right?
Right.
And
That
it
would
didn't
be
work.
very difficult.
So I literally searched the world over, and I found a biometric. It reads 300 points, not 5. And
Gosh.
I haven't had a failure yet. And we've done a lot of testing. But it went from $2 to $17. If you can think, for this one component in the gun.
Yes. Yes.
But
Huge
that
deal.
technology had to evolve
Mhm.
and had to happen before this could be done in a handgun.
Right.
I mean, if you even think about, uh, people hold this gun and you've held it,
Yes.
the grip is not that much, it's not bigger than a standard medium size Glock. Now,
Mhm.
it's not a small and it's not
Right.
a compact, but my gosh, fitting all the things that we fit into that backstrap, amazing.
Yes, I am very impressed by that. Gosh, I don't want to stop your flow because I want, there's so many good points being made. But I want to speak to that for sure. So for those listening, I have absolutely shot this firearm. I am excited. I have a range day plan to put it to the test as far as the biometric, you know, and actually track like a quantity, be like, I tested it X amount of times, but my first goal was just to go and kind of shoot it and feel the ergonomics. And obviously, I was able to shoot it, so the biometrics worked. Yes, but I was so surprised by how comfortable it was to shoot. And I'm not a gosh, I'm not really a gun reviewer. I really try to stay in my lane as far as like education. I think, people should just make what they have work if they can. And then I want to help them find a way to become a better shooter, concealed carrier, whatever, right? Um, but I have at this point in the industry, you're just in the industry long enough, you get sent guns, you get experience behind your friends' guns, you're at a match and you're like, hey, I want to shoot your gun. And like you develop a sense of feel that is a bit more refined, kind of like if you were doing wine tasting. And
Right.
so I do feel at this point, like when I get behind a gun, I know immediately whether or not I like it. Like I've just shot so many. I have enough experience technically that I feel confident to say, like, this was extremely comfortable to shoot. If I had to hand it to my sister to, fire a gun for the first time, I'd be comfortable giving her this firearm for that. And
Right.
I talk about this a lot. I get a lot of questions about something like, ironically, the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0. A lot of
Yes.
women will say, oh, it's so tiny. It doesn't look very scary. I should make that my first gun. And I'm like, hold up. Have
Oh,
you heard of the Walther PDPF, the Glock 19, literally anything but this, because it's not that comfortable to shoot. And this is, of course, before I found you all, but, and I'm not being paid to say any of this. If you're listening, you're like, oh, cool, this is a marketing episode. No, I'm here because innovations in this industry, or at least with this episode, I'm here in this episode because innovations in this industry nowadays feel very rare, right? As far as true innovations go, there's a lot
sure.
of micro improvements on already existing firearms. There's copies coming out of things that are already working really well, but made with cheaper gear and are more affordable. There's a lot of things like that. The more I go to SHOT Show, the more I kind of realize that true innovation feels more rare. And so
Yeah.
this is truly a product that has fascinated me. I've spoken to the team before our episode to kind of talk about, what are the goals for even this episode? And it's really just to share with you all the journey that Ginger went on to provide a product like this, to talk about its application, and also to share with you all that I enjoyed my experience with it. I was pleasantly surprised. And I'm not even saying that I had low expectations. I just kind of was like, I almost had none because this is such a
It's new.
new, it's so new. And so I want to second that, that yes, I'm impressed by what you were able to put into the grip. And then ergonomically, it is very comfortable. This is my way of explaining kind of my backing to seconding that. Anyway, all
Yeah.
that to say, please
Well, no, I
continue.
mean, even the if you look at the firearm
Mhm.
and even the angle of the grip, I I love my 1911, and so I tried to mimic that angle of the grip. And but I also knew that the number one failure in handguns is the magazine feed. So I didn't want to redesign a magazine. I never want to redesign a magazine. I wanted to use standard magazines that are in the industry and proven because somebody else has already done the work. And
Right.
so that was really important. And um, thinking about what we can change, what we can't change, what we shouldn't change. I mean, when you look at these striker fire guns that don't have an external safety, that makes people nervous. But they
Yeah.
shouldn't because they are the safest firearms. They have three mechanical safeties in them that are awesome and they are so safe. And so I wanted all those in there. I didn't want to take any of those out. So the mechanical safeties are still there. We just wanted to add a level of control, that access. And I put this banner behind me, the access defined by you, so that the person can decide, you know, um, we were worried about battery dying, right? What happens? And so we even made it a preference that says if your battery is going to die, do you want the gun to be unlocked or locked? So maybe people at home say, leave it locked, make it a brick. I still don't want my kids. Don't want any risk of my kids being able to use it. But for me, I don't have kids at home. And so for me, it's leave it unlocked. I want a gun.
Same here. That's actually what I've done with this one. This has kind of been my office gun. Um, I would like to have a gun in every
Yes.
room. Like,
That's
hopefully,
awesome.
anyone, right? Hopefully, this isn't giving anyone any ideas if they want to like break in. I try to keep my location very private. With that said, I like to have a gun in every room, including the bathroom. So call me extra, but at some point
No,
you have
no.
enough guns to fill your rooms, okay? And then you're like, why not load them and put them in
That's
there?
right.
So anyway, this has become my office gun, so it's easy to just leave on the charger. But I love that you have that option of just kind of making it, viable if it does die. I think that's awesome. It's truly the first customizable gun I've heard of. So, like, that's so wild to me. Unless you just put a lock on your gun,
Right.
and even then, it's defeatable. So, I would
Well,
love to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, I was gonna say, there will be people who will say, well, I can take all the safety out of it and make it work. And so I challenged the engineers. I said, what I want, it needs to take more than 5 minutes. It needs to take longer. It, it in times of stress, when somebody may be grabbing a pistol to use it for bad things, it makes them pause. They can't do it right away. And the police here in Chattanooga, have they come here and they look at our stuff and they go, you know what's going to happen? There will be bad guys going through looking in windows because we have a lot of car theft here, looking
Mm.
at windows for firearms, and they'll see the blue mag catch and they go, oh, skip that one. It's a pain. Can't
Yeah.
use it to do anything.
Oh, that's so funny. Yes, they just go back to stealing. I won't call out that brand, but that one firearm that gets stolen a lot and is
Yeah.
repeatedly shown up, shows up on crime scenes. Anyway, that's so funny. Yeah, and that's so funny. You answered a question I was about to ask, which is, what are some of the most common misconceptions with biometric firearms that you've heard?
It won't work. It won't work. And it's like this holds 50 fingerprints. And what we even challenge people is because in times of stress, you're not going to put your fingerprint on just the perfect way, you know? So put your thumb in the tip, put the side, put the right, put it
Mm-hmm.
in 3 times, put every finger in 3 times. And you got it. You're covered. I mean, but it also doesn't the biometric's not the only way. And so if your fingers are wet, we had somebody shooting in Missouri. It was so hot. and they were just dripping with sweat, and the biometric didn't work. But
Mhm.
then he could just do his pin pad,
Mhm.
worked perfect, worked perfect. And that's exactly, and then we have the third way of in the app, because I just wanted the redundancy
Mhm.
so that, and so when we do get that objection about the biometric going, we haven't had a failure except when your fingers, if they're wet or something. But
Right.
when somebody's trying it, we aren't seeing failures. And I even have a guy at our range, his fingers cut half off,
Oh my
and
goodness.
and it works for him,
Wow.
you know,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know, and we've tested it, but we also give you two other methods.
Right.
So
That's fantastic. I like that your first one is just it doesn't work. And that makes a lot of sense. I think that that's an easy thing to say across the board, you know. I've come to learn just in this industry as a whole, people don't know what they don't know. It's really hard when you understand that when you're kind of above that level of pride, right?
yeah.
To be offended to just say they don't know what they don't know. And uh, I've been realizing it more. And my sister actually has been running my social media for me because I can't stand reading through comments and DMs. It decreases my bandwidth to be able to be a creator and do what I do best. And so I hired her to respond. And we recently gained about 20,000 followers. I jumped because of trial reels. Things are going well there. And she writes me every day and she's like, I am learning more and more X, Y, and Z. And it's usually like people just don't know what they don't know. And
They don't know
um,
what they don't know.
right. So this is an opportunity to educate and to talk about that. And this is not to say it's difficult to ask you the question the way I worded it, right? Because your biometric firearm is not the same as other biometric firearms. And so um, I would love to know what else have you seen on the market and how would you compare it to what you've created? Because again, this world is super new to me. So I'd love to see like what you found out there in the wild and
So our the competition, right,
right,
is the biometric safe.
right.
And people are saying my safe is faster, right?
Right.
And that works. And what I challenge is um maybe, and
Mhm.
does it always work? Because they're using the $2 biometric
Right.
probably.
Right.
And um and so test it, try
Mhm.
it. I don't think so. And so that's another objection, is my safe is faster. Um it We also had somebody, so in Go Gear Direct,
Mhm.
the e-commerce site that I do, I actually sell Stop Box and VeriSafety, and I sell all of them because they're invented and I love them. I mean, they're great, because I always tell people, if this firearm's not for you, peace, be better.
Right.
Store yours properly.
Right.
And but some man came to me and he said, listen, even if you set a code on that stop box, I could sit here and play with it and guess the code. I could figure it out. It may take me a week, but if I'm a little kid bored watching a TV show, I could figure it out.
Sure.
I could figure it out. And I'm like, really? I was like, oh wow, you know. And so
Right.
people want to. We had some man ask me. He goes, well, what if there's an EMP event, right?
Interesting.
Electromagnetic event. And I
Right.
said, if there is, and you're relying on a 17-round handgun as your defense, shame on you.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
This is it. It's not the right gun for the
Right.
purpose.
Right.
We're in bigger trouble. Your phone's not working. Your house
Right.
is not working. Nothing's
Yes.
working if that happens.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely. That's where the rifles come into play a little bit there with those 30 rounds and whatnot. But yeah,
yeah.
that's okay. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. Um, well, I'll tell you another thing that, and maybe I'm jumping all over the place.
Go for it.
The,
I'm following.
well, I because there are so many firearms in the United States. I mean, 50% of the households, there's a firearm in it.
Right.
Um, More than 300 million, right? So I'm
Mhm.
thinking everybody knows something about
Right.
firearms. Well, we decided that we wanted to invite women to come and just learn gun safety in a very relaxed environment and just learn what a gun is. So I invited my neighbors and,
Nice.
um, and so they showed up. This was last night. And I was so shocked at how little they knew about firearms. And I was like, oh my gosh. So you don't know that this is a revolver and what a revolver is. And they're like, no. I mean, one lady, like, oh, oh, I thought that that was a pistol. It's like, oh my goodness. And
Mhm.
so so all of it is about education, and it's about putting them in an environment where they feel like they could be safe, they could be in control, they could understand. And, by the end of it, they're like, okay, I get it. And could you put that tech on a shotgun? I like that shotgun.
Right.
That's what they're going, 11 rounds and an 870. That's
Right.
that's a good gun.
Absolutely. I
So,
mean, can you all? Is there like could you all make your own like Mossberg 590 pump action? Like is this
oh, I'd
something?
love to. So our goal, so my goal is to license the tech to everybody.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
I
Yeah.
loved how Sturm Ruger, when Ruger developed the transfer bar for the revolver, he patented it in the 90s, I think,
Mhm.
and he just gave it away to everybody. He didn't, I mean, they paid him a little bit, but not, I mean, he didn't keep the tech from people. He made it so things could be safer,
Yeah.
and he helped. And so I want to license everybody. I want everybody, I think everybody should have one firearm in their arsenal that fits this niche. And then people, because once people buy one firearm, the likelihood to buy another one is very high,
Right.
you know?
Absolutely.
And so I want everybody to have one of these, every single OEM brand.
Absolutely. That's incredible. That's incredible. Have you found in the past that tech like this or, you know, some type of advancement like this has been held within a company so that it can't be utilized in other companies? Is that pretty typical?
No. So
Okay.
I ran product development at Smith and Wesson,
Mhm.
and we had a development going on to put a ring that would work with RFID in the revolver.
Huh.
And they did work. The reason they stopped is because there was a law passed in New Jersey that said if this tech is developed, it can be the only gun that's sold in New Jersey. And they're like, we're not supporting that. And so one
Oh
of the
my
first things that
goodness.
Lodestar did was work to make sure that law went away. And it's not there anymore. Um,
Whoa.
the law was changed to say if tech is developed, you must offer it for sale, but it's not the only gun. And
Okay.
yeah,
Gosh. That's
I
so
mean,
I'm
because it's
just
just
making a quick mark
silly.
here to make a highlight of this. This is so interesting. What?
Oh no, it's
Gosh.
crazy. And because what it did was it stopped all development. Because why
Yeah.
would they do that? Because Smith and Wesson sold the M&P and they were making the Sigma. Was it the Sigma? Yeah. And which was not a great gun, but
Okay.
old gun,
Right.
very old.
Right.
Uh but they I mean, why would they do that? I mean,
Right.
because they were making long guns. I mean, why would anybody? And so um then we came yeah, it is the tech and guns. So, but you asked me, do other people have it? So there is a company that was at the University of Kansas. Some engineers there developed a, a 1911 that uses an RFID ring.
Okay.
And I don't know the name of the company. I'm sorry.
Hmm. No worries.
Um, they, but I don't know about you, but having to remember to wear the ring and the ring be there, and then if I'm with my right hand, the ring is on my left hand, and will it work? And so that's why I didn't use that in the firearm. I didn't want to have a thing,
Right.
that you have to wear. Um, and then BioFire uh, came out with a firearm, and people ask me, I mean, aren't you glad they're not doing great, right? and and I'm like, no,
Right.
we want them to win.
Right.
We want them to be so successful because they're employing people.
Yeah.
They are. It's a real innovation from somebody. Why not? But it has a purpose, and the thing that I feel like happened for them that's hard is they're using on the edge technology like facial recognition before facial recognition's been worked out. And so I think there's some struggles there.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, those are the only two that I know of.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of innovation in safes. I mean,
Mhm.
Vera Safety is a wonderful, wonderful company, wonderful owner. He helped us. Um,
Wonderful.
their tech is awesome. And so before I had this firearm, I had a Vera Safety on every door.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good
And
to know.
yeah, I mean, in it because it always works,
Yeah,
and you can put a second person's fingerprints in, and so I learned a lot
fantastic.
from them. I learned a lot.
You know,
Yeah,
they sound do they own Voltec or are those totally different?
it's totally separate.
Totally separate. Okay, so I'm a little, I think, new to Vera Safety then, but I'm glad to hear that from you because who better, right, to hear that from?
Yeah,
I'll have to look into them. I was telling my guy the other day, I was like, man, I've got like a gun in every room. I've got guns laying around. Like, I know the condition of them all, and he and I communicate. He's the only person that's ever here that I'm not standing next to at all times. Like, if I have a guest speaker and
right.
I bring him into the studio, there's unless they go to the bathroom, right? Let me be clear, right? I am next to them, but and in that case, I put all my guns away. But someday I'm gonna have little kids running around, and I was like, man, I'm gonna need to put a lock on my door, right? So that's interesting to know that you did that. That's yeah, it just
Oh
recently
yeah,
came up in conversation. So
yeah.
um yeah, so interesting. Um oh, go ahead, please.
Well, no, I was just thinking about
Uh-huh.
when we so when we designed this, because I had one next to every door,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to develop it so that the charger, you get Velcro, and I wanted to be able to stick under a desk. I wanted it under a
Oh,
shelf, on
yeah.
a wall next to, like, I have a closet next to my front door and I have it.
Hmm.
And if you pull your firearm from the charger right now, you can
Uh-huh.
feel there's a
The
magnet,
magnetic. Yes,
and you can
yes.
actually turn it upside down and it doesn't fall out on
Oh,
purpose.
nice.
We designed it that way so that you could mount it upside down.
Fan-
And we did a lot of
Fantastic.
testing. Yeah.
I bet. That's yeah, it's very
Yeah.
interesting. I remember one of the first brands to like ever send me something back in the day was literally just a gun magnet for under your desk. You put,
Mm.
one side under your desk and then you can stick your gun to it. And I
Oh,
remember being
wow.
like, that is interesting. That I
Yeah.
might consider that. That's when I was like, yeah, send me anything. This was like my first year being an influencer and I was like, I'm getting
Right.
product. But no, I love the storage options. That's so interesting. Even just the thought put behind the charger. And for those watching the YouTube video or seeing these highlights on social media, um, this may have looked like the whole gun was this large, which is not the case. This is the gun sitting on the charger, which I didn't think about the fact that I should probably remove that so it doesn't look like this whole thing is the gun. But
Right.
I'm over here
Right.
talking about how slim it is, and then people are looking at it like, no. But no, that's so
Yeah.
cool. Something I've been really excited to talk to you about is who this gun is best for. And something I pride myself on and I love to do is kind of the story behind my username, which is Fit for Fia. And that's to show what fits for me on my social media, hoping that I can inspire other people to um, consider these methods that I've vetted over time. But at the end of the day, what fits for you is ultimately what's best. There's never a one size fits all, there's never one solution. We talked about the fact that you even encourage having multiple firearms to fit multiple needs. And then, of course,
Absolutely.
storing them safely with something like a Browning safe that you can no longer get 40% off apparently for. But anyway, all of that to say, um, there's obviously a type of person or a need that needs to be met that this firearm is best for. So I'd love to talk about who that is, that this firearm is best for. Of course, we talked about how customizable it is. So I hope it's clear to the listener that this gun is for anyone. But there are some sets of people that I think would really benefit from this. And I'd love to know kind of for you, before I kind of share my thoughts on that, I'd love to know who comes to mind for you first.
So it's interesting. Several different groups, actually.
Right.
Um,
Right. Of course.
it is, but the one that I remember when I had the prototype made and a lady was taking me to look at a home. I was doing a pre-look of a home for somebody who's coming to the area, and I was taking a video of it for them. And I was telling her about Lodestar. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, that would be perfect for me." She goes, "I used to carry my Glock everywhere, used to carry it all the time. But and she goes, and my job is really hard. It's kind of scary because I have 3 kids now. So I had to get them all to bed, and then I leave at 9 p.m. at night to go stage the house for the next day. So I'm in
Wow.
these homes by myself, and I can't carry my Glock anymore because I can't remember. I have so much going on. I can't remember to
Mhm.
put it away safely. And I have these 3 kids. She goes, this is it.
Mhm.
This is it. Because I need it for my personal safety. It'd be easy to carry. It would be locked and my kids couldn't use it. And so she's who I think of, somebody who has kids in the home
Mhm.
that they want their own control. They want to feel safe and be
Mhm.
personally safe. And so that's who I think of first. Um, the next group, though, is my mom. She's in her mid 80s. She probably wouldn't want me to say how old, but anyway, mid 80s. And she asked me, she goes, "Why are you doing this? I don't get it. I mean, why are you developing this thing?" And I
Hmm.
said, "Well, okay, look around." I said, "How many great grandkids and grandkids do you have here in your home right now?" And she had a bunch, like
Mhm.
6 of them were over the house, 6 or 7. And I said, "Come with me." And we walked back to her office, and I pull open the bottom drawer, and there were 5 firearms there with the ammo sitting with them. I said, This was not locked." I go, "You are the reason we need this." I go, "Because, Mom, what are you doing?" And I go, "And now I'm taking all of these home with me because you're not going to the range and practicing, and I'm not letting you have them." And anyway, so she is the second person that I think of is there are all these people who have kids come into their home for holidays, for
Mhm.
whatever. And it's easy. They can put the gun in deep sleep anytime and no one can use it. And so um a cousin of ours, his name is Boo, which means that's not his real name, but
Right.
that's who I think that's his name.
I got a
And I
cousin
and
like
he
that. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, right. And he goes, "Well, tell me, why would I want this?" Because he's a big hunter, African hunter, and has all these guns and all this stuff. And I said, "Well, okay, how old is your grandson now?" And he said 3. And I said, "He comes here every day, right?
Mhm.
In the afternoon, every day." I said, "Does he jump on your bed?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Is your 1911 still Velcroed to the back of your bedboard?" And he said,
Sorry, that's hilarious.
and he said, "Yes."
Okay, there you go.
And I said, "You are the consumer for us."
There you go.
You.
Dang it, Boot.
And
You got to get that gun secured. So
yeah,
funny.
it's like I said, and so it's for people who um want to make sure no one else can use their firearm except them. I mean, it could even be they live alone and they don't want, if somebody breaks in, them to be able to use their firearm unless they unlock it, right?
Right.
And so there's a lot of use cases that we're finding out as we go because we're going to every time I get a little like running a startup's hard. I mean, you're you were working. And sometimes we get overwhelmed. And we decided that every time we get overwhelmed, we need to go to a gun store and just show it to them, because we get more energy from their positive feedback than we've ever seen. And it's like,
Fantastic.
I just love it. Yeah.
That's awesome. That was my experience when I picked this up at my gun range. It's about an hour from here, and so when I go, I usually haven't gone in a while, and I have a few things to pick up, like guns I've asked them to clean and things like that. I'm like, hello. They were really interested in this firearm, and I absolutely like passed it around slide locked back, so people could look at it, and they're really excited. They're like, we want to hear your full report on it. So that's yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure as like the inventors, like you all were in this position to answer really niche questions. And yeah, I love that. Anytime I feel kind of like my main shtick is marketing, like, right, what pays the bills? Guns don't pay the bills, guys. I don't know if you knew that, but anyway, sorry. Sorry, it just yeah, anyway. So anytime I get a little bit, caught up in media, right, like selling things and creating videos and photo sets and everything, it's nice to go and teach a lesson and like work with
Oh,
one person and just get that all of that energy back. And so I love that you all
oh
found a way
yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is, we know, yeah. I mean, and also we learn, because
Right.
people will ask questions and you're going, huh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we would have never wanted to use it that way. And in fact,
Right.
one guy said, I just want to put it in the center of my truck. And can I drill a hole and run the cord and just leave it Velcroed to the? I said, yes, you can.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
yes.
Right. Was his name Boot?
And yeah,
Boot.
and it's funny. But yeah, it, yeah. Well, and also,
Yeah.
we learned, like, well, and you
Mm-hmm.
asked for it. You said, I really would like an optics ready.
Right.
And I always like to use iron sights, because I had always worried about the optics ready not working.
Right.
And I didn't have them co-witnessed and all that. And so
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay. So, and I also wanted it to be just simple,
Right.
basically a basic firearm. But you asked, and I thought, we could do that. We can do that. And
Right.
so we did, and put that together. And so I'm interested on your thoughts on that one
Yes, I've
when you get to
got
see it.
you. And we'll just have to do a part two. I feel like there's so much nuance with a product like this, especially as I get more experience with it and we start, hearing from people with, questions just from this episode. There's just so
Yeah.
much room for parts 2 and 3 and so on.
Yeah.
And that's what's
Yeah.
great about the podcast. So, um,
Yeah.
something I have absolutely thought about is domestic violence and how one of the most common fears of a woman who's already in a situation where she's in fear of her life, right? Purchasing a firearm could mean that she's then giving her oppressor, in this case, her partner, husband or so, access to a lethal weapon if he didn't already have access. Um, and that is something that this firearm, in my opinion, solves. And I've come from a background where I had a partner look for firearms during arguments. And this is the first time I've ever shared that. That was a very interesting time in my life. And I didn't realize how dangerous it was because when you're in it, you don't
Yeah.
know. And I get this question from, it's not really even a question. Someone will make a comment like, why doesn't so and so leave that relationship? He's obviously abusive or obviously something. And I I love to chime in and say, well, you don't know when you're in it how life-threatening it truly is. It's something that
Yeah.
becomes so standard for you. You're
Hmm.
actually kind of concerned about this person who's acting erratically. Maybe
Right.
you don't feel like you can tell your family or friends because it feels kind of embarrassing. My experience, at least. I was this
Yes.
person posting about concealed carry, posting about self defense, and my own partner was looking for a firearm during our arguments. I mean, what a dichotomy, and how almost embarrassing it felt for me personally. If a woman came to me and told me this, obviously I wouldn't say, "Oh, that's embarrassing. That's not what I mean." But it's unfortunately ignorant. It's one of those situations, people don't know what they don't know when you're in this situation with a partner who's being abusive like this, because that is abuse, right? Threatening the
That's right.
use of a firearm is abusive. Um,
Absolutely.
there are various types of abuse, there are various degrees of abuse, but I didn't realize until way later on how bad that was. I actually had his firing pin shaved down.
Yeah.
And that was a very difficult decision to make, right? Because that wasn't my personal protection firearm that, he didn't carry on a regular, but it was the firearm he threatened that action with, that behavior with in our home. So I took it upon myself to go get it drummeled down. And that's the only way I could sleep at night. And so this firearm is something, I know that was a lot. So sorry to drop that on you.
No,
But this
no.
is an application when you all reached out. I've even had this question from my peers. I've told some of my people in the industry, like, I have a biometric firearm coming in, and they've all been like, really? And I'm like, yeah, like, think about the applications. And then we jump into this conversation and we talk about who it's for. I also have a mom at home who is very resistant to firearms. She tried to sell the Smith& Wesson I gave her, which, how dare you, mom? She listens to my episode, so it's a joke. I got her an easy slide
Yeah.
because of, the slide racking force was a little much for her on my Glock 19. So got her a Smith& Wesson. I got her 380. I tried to get her like a very manageable firearm, and uh, I went home the other day and I think I said, like, where is the safe? Because I also got her a Vaultec safe, and she was like, yeah, it's in the room. And I was like, Mom. And she's like, no, it's okay. And I was like, what's the code? Do you remember the code? And she was like, probably. And I was like, Mom, it's on a sticky note on the bottom. I told you that, like, so this is one of those situations, like, this I got my mom an entire firearm knowing I was going to buy a Vaultec safe for her. Like, this is the combination of that. And so for those of you
Yeah.
listening that maybe are skeptical, first of all, great. Be skeptical, ask questions, find
Yeah.
solutions, figure out a, opinion for yourself. That's what this podcast is for. But I just wanted to make sure to hit that point of, like, there are people where, like, this could be the game changer for them. And I even struggled in that situation I just mentioned with my former partner, that uh, I had trouble leaving my own firearm loaded next to my bed. And so I
Yeah.
had I had a stop box, speaking of, and if you don't
Yes.
know, stop boxes require, how would you explain it? It's a physical code.
It's a larger hand needed to do it. That's why it protects against children, but it's a mechanical code.
Mechanical as opposed to electronic.
That's right.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Wanted
And
to get
that's
that
why it's
distinction.
and that's its claim to fame. That's why
Right.
it doesn't need batteries.
Yes,
And
absolutely. And I had changed my stop box code because I was so nervous, but I still remember thinking, well, he could figure it out, or he could, watch me do it over my shoulder someday. So I just had so much anxiety in my household every single day. And so a product like this being an option is just incredible. It's one of my personal motivations. Again, I'm not being paid to say this. I'm not being paid at all. I really want to help you all, get the exposure you deserve.
thank
And
you.
yeah, of course.
Well,
Sorry, you were going to say something.
well, the thing that's nice about this is it allows you to put 50 fingerprints in. You can have the owner and a second user. And I always tell people, I do it jokingly because my husband and I will both work at a show. And I said, and then
Nice.
if your significant other, you don't like them anymore, you can
Oh,
just delete their fingerprints.
interesting. I love
Yeah.
the way you work that in, because it's
Yeah.
like it's a joke, but it's also not a joke. Whereas
It's
with
not a joke. I
a
mean,
real
it's a real
firearm.
thing. And then somebody even asked me, well, what if he grabs my hand and the gun and he forces me to hold it against the firearm so he can unlock it? And I said, I got you. So what if you just delete all your fingerprints and then all you have is the code, but you know the code?
Yeah, what's
So,
he gonna do? Hold a gun to your head? Terrible.
and then it won't go off,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
And
That's
so
genius.
and so
Huh.
all of those scenarios, as we speak to people who are worried about someone in the home, that we talk through, and it's like, okay, 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 so I get to be in control. I get to manage the access. Nobody else does. And
And you're like,
so
that's our tagline.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So I don't know what else.
You
The
sorry, what'd you say?
I said I don't even know what else to say. I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
very grateful. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Sorry. I thought you had a note you were reading and want to cut you off. It's always my biggest fear that I'll cut off a guest speaker. I'm really good at cutting people off. You should ask my mom. And as a podcast host, I'm always like, they're going to have this fantastic idea, and then I'm going to be on an ADD rabbit trail, and I'm going to come in and just derail. So, no, that was just me making sure I didn't take you off the trail.
Right, right.
But yes, how wonderful. And I think it's interesting. We both come from families that all aren't just gun people. I'm the first person. My dad had a Glock 19. I don't think I've ever said this on the podcast. Glock 19, Gen 2 or 3, and he would bring it out in this like leather shoulder holster with the mags on the right, the gun on the left. And I remember as a kid being like, I've never seen him train with that thing. How much safer are we from these bears if my dad pulls a trigger and hits me when he's trying to shoot a bear? Like, I had that thought as a kid, and I was like, what are you going to do? I was like 8.
I know.
So I think it's funny. I went to his house after I got really deep into guns. This was when I think I was in medical school and I was visiting back home. And I went to his house and I was like, Dad, do you still have that Glock 19? And he was like, yeah, it's in the safe. And I was like, cool. Like, when's the last time you cleaned it? I'm here. I thought maybe I'd take a look at it. Like, I have a Gen at the time. They just came out with Gen 6. So I had just bought a Gen 5. And I was like, I really want to see your Gen 2 or 3 or whatever. And so he was like, yeah, let me go get it. So he like brings this entire safe. And I'm like, okay, you want to take it out? And he was like, sure. So he like opens the safe, opens the door, and he like looks at me, and I was like, well, would you like me? And he was like, yeah, you should get it out. He was like scared to get it out. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
so I acted like I was too excited to wait. So I was like, yeah, let me, didn't want to embarrass him. Took out the gun. Obviously, like, we always treat a gun like it's loaded unless we know. And there was not one in the chamber, but there were rounds in the magazine. Just kind of want to make sure, if you're listening, you're totally new to guns. A gun can be loaded with the magazine, but not loaded with one in the chamber. So it's important to really make sure you communicate that fully. But he told me it was loaded, right? There wasn't one in the chamber.
Right.
Okay, just say it. So I pulled the mag out, and it had like, have you ever seen a mag that had just been like left forever? It had crusted almost like batteries do
Yes.
when they're old. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, Dad, when's the last time you like touched this thing? I think he had moved the entire safe, just moved the safe when he'd like moved houses. I don't even think he took the gun out. And so it's one of those things. I don't even know why I was telling you the story. Oh, yes, sorry. I've had too much coffee. I I also come from a household where not everyone is, gun crazy. That was the most gun exposure I'd had. And I have 2 sisters. One who we all joke is like, and I'm going to knock on wood here because God forbid, but she's so friendly. And if someone asked her for directions and was pulling up at their van, she'd be like, nice van. I too love a Mercedes Sprinter van. Let me show you where to go. She's like that type. I've hardened her a little bit. We've worked on managing unknown contacts, verbal
Awareness.
de-escalation, awareness.
Condition white.
She's also, we're all little Latina. We're all Cuban. When she was studying in Italy, this woman had her bag snatched from the back of her chair. So not my sister, just this random woman. And my sister chased after the guy with the bag. and then scolded him in front of everyone. Was like, "How dare you?" And then took the bag back to this woman. So that's who she is. She's a combo of like, spunky but also like a little bit, too nice for the world in my opinion. So,
Right.
I come from this background where I'm trying to like coax my sisters into like owning a gun, and this is an option for them. Like this is an opportunity to say, you don't have to be like me and carry maybe every single day, but start out by having one in your home. Like,
Right.
you know, it's one of those things. So, yeah, that was my way
Yeah.
of saying I get it. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is, I worry about all, going back to your dad, I worry about all of those Glocks. There's a lot of Glock Gen 3s out there in the world.
Yeah.
And one thing we just tested is taking Glock Gen 3s that and bringing them in, and we can switch out the top and put it onto our firearm, and it works. And
Interesting.
so then we could just sell the lower, right? It's still an
Whoa.
FFL item. It's still a
Yeah.
serialized item,
Yeah.
but all those old Glocks that nobody can do, nobody cleans and nobody does anything with, we can make them better and make it so they're
Huh.
useful. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's
I know.
so good to know. Wow. Yeah, who knew? And I'm glad that came up because I wouldn't have even known to prompt that question. That's like,
Well, it's a small world I'm finding with your experience and your 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 family and yeah, small world.
yes, absolutely. So I'd love to, if you don't mind, as far as, when I review guns and I recommend guns to people, I talk about aftermarket support. And the way that I define that, this may not even be the right word for that, is just, can you find a good holster for your gun? Can you find,
Yes, and so
compatible weapon mounted
I
lights?
should have brought it over here a bit. We so Go Gear Direct, that company.
There you go.
I love inventors and innovation, and I also like USA Made. And crossbreeds are made. Um, she brought me one. Crossbreeds are making holsters for us, and
Fantastic.
yeah, and there's the two types, and that we have right now, and
Mhm.
it and there's a lot of holsters out there that this firearm will fit in just because it's so similar to a
Right.
Glock. We have a person who's using it in some shooting skills, and he's using his old holster that was for his Glock. So
There you
it
go.
just depends on how it's fit. I mean, how it's fit. But we do have the holsters from Crossbreed. We also we're selling on extra chargers because we envision that you may put a charger in 3 places in your home and you just
Mm.
move your firearm if you want, or that you have several guns. I have a lot of firearms also. And
I
so
would assume, yes, that makes sense. That's
yeah. And so being able to just move it from here to there, we thought people may want a charger in their car and a charger in the house
I was actually
potentially.
thinking car when you said
Yeah.
extra chargers,
Yeah.
especially, gosh, I don't know much about leaving guns in cars. I just don't. And that comes from a personal experience. The same partner actually left a gun. I'm really not making him sound great. So might get hit with like a, lawsuit after this episode, whatever. Come at
No,
me.
you
But
didn't say his name.
true, true.
You haven't
That's
said
how
his
that
name.
works. Same partner left his Glock 43X in his car. The door had trouble locking, and usually he would lock it and check it, but that night he just got home from like a gig, he was tired, didn't check it. Ended up in a crime scene and then was
Yep.
returned to him. But he had to
Yep.
go through the whole, first of all, shame of like, uh-oh, did I,
Yeah.
contribute to a murder? And
Uh,
then like all the way to retrieving his firearm. It was a little bit messed up, like dinged up, as much as a Glock could get dinged up. And
right.
um, is there a way, like, if you had to store this thing in your car, how
Yes.
how would you personally do that safely?
I would have just I would just put it in the center console. I wouldn't even lock it. It wouldn't matter because nobody can do anything with it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and they wouldn't see it. I mean, so
Sure.
and there I think it's crazy. Okay, crazy
I'm ready.
that people are leaving firearms visible in their car on the dash.
I know. People are insane. I don't even leave my if I go into a gas station without my phone, which is rare, but sometimes I'll do that just to stay present and aware, but you also want to be able to call 911. It's hard, right? To like choose. If I leave it, I put it under my seat. Totally not visible. Even if someone broke in and they went for my center console or my glove box, not even there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't believe that either. I don't even leave my phone out. So,
It's just I don't either. I don't leave anything in the car.
yeah,
And just 'cause
not worth
why?
it.
Um,
Right.
but so I would but again, the thing that's so cool to me is our deep sleep mode that it's just like 7 weeks. I'm on 7 weeks now battery life and you can just and then to wake it up from deep sleep, it's literally one button.
Right.
It's one button and it's that fast. And and to put it into deep sleep, all you do is let's see if I can hold it. All you do is hold it until you see a blue dot. I mean a blue LED on it. Did you just see that?
I did.
And it just went to deep sleep and it's locked. Nobody can fire this gun. It's in deep sleep. But to wake it up, it's literally just press that button right there and it's awake. And then to unlock it, it's just that fast. I mean, it's that fast. And so it's like, okay. Um, yeah. Storing it in a car though, I probably would still bring it in at night. I would never just leave it in the car.
Right.
I- But
Right.
I think that that's the thing that is important is giving choice. Like if
Right.
somebody wants to do that,
Sure.
there you go. You live your life.
Right. You might as well be with a firearm that is biometrically,
Yeah,
accessed, So that's
right.
fantastic. For those listening who are like, "Oh, there's an app." Like maybe
Yeah.
that sounds complex to them. What does the setup process look like? Obviously, I've done it, but I am not one to teach or walk someone through it right now.
Well, and so you can see, let's see. Um the app is pretty simple, but we also I know this is going to sound crazy, but because we worry about kids, we
Mhm.
made the app so that you could not use facial recognition to open it. You know how you have apps now that you just can look at it and it
Yeah.
opens?
My
Well,
banking apps.
that's right. Well, we didn't want that because we didn't want it so that a kid uh could hold it up to their parents and just open it. And
Oh, interesting.
yeah, so we made it harder and but the process to store is very easy. You literally open the app and you search for the firearm and when when the firearm shows up, you say pair and it pairs. It prompts you to enter your Wi-Fi, so you're using your Wi-Fi to use the Bluetooth in the app. Um, it One thing we're worried about is always data, right? And what we know is the Bluetooth connection between the phone and the firearm can be hacked. We're sure of it. Somebody's going to be able to do it. So that's why we aren't passing. They could get your email, right? But we aren't passing data back and forth, and it's all encrypted. We've even hired ethical hackers to
Yeah.
try and break it and do something and um nobody is finding anything but we have been over testing because we want it to be really safe and so when you go in though you set up a password on the app, you download we give you a QR code in the setup guide to download the app so it's easy. um then the first thing it's going to do is it's going to ask you things like your preferences. If the battery gets critical, do you want it to be locked or unlocked? And then the second thing it's going to ask you is, do you um, want it to be deep sleep enabled or disabled? And this is a quick start guide. And I'll tell you a funny story real quick about this quick start guide.
Please, yeah.
Yeah, so my mom was a beta tester, right?
That's awesome.
And she's going through it and she's going, okay, well, and I'll show you this piece of this section right here is
Uh-huh.
telling you what the LEDs mean. And it's telling you how to set your charger up on Wi-Fi. And I said, and it says in here, plug in the charging pad, press the Wi-Fi button. She goes, okay, you have this beautiful picture here. There's all this thing, but the Wi-Fi button is not labeled. How am I going to find the Wi-Fi button? I said, Mom, put your glasses on. It's the only button. It's the only button. She goes, you should put it in the thing. You should make it better. And I said, yes, ma'am. We will,
Absolutely.
we will improve.
You're
You
like,
are in charge.
you did teach me to use a spoon, so I guess I will,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah. But this guide really just walks you step by step through each piece. And the other thing that's kind of cool, so adding fingerprints, when people go to add fingerprints, they kept wanting to hold their finger down and press it hard onto the biometric to add their fingerprint.
Uh-huh.
And so they were literally, I mean, I'll just show you. They were going like this. They were putting their finger on the biometric and just holding it down.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't doing it, right? It wasn't following the way. And so we told them, we said, listen, please. Okay, marketing. Can you make a video? So now in the app, there's a video that shows people how to do their fingerprint. It's like, put it down, look for the green light, pick it up. Put it down, look for the green light, pick it up. Put it down, look for the green light. And so it's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We can do this. We can do this. But
gosh.
Yeah.
I remember the most product development I've done is create a concealed carry bag. I'm no longer collaborating with the founder or brand, but I had to, like, when I was creating the curriculum, I had to show it to so many people to be like, what am I missing? Right? Like, you know, when you're the expert on the subject, it's critical to pass it to a newbie. So I love that you did that with your own mom. How special.
Yeah, I know. Well, in that she's critical. So, I mean, not critical in a bad way. I wanted her to be.
That's
So I'll show you. This is this firearm that we've been looking at. And that just tells you it has, what is that, 94% or something battery, and it's locked. And this is a third way that you can unlock and lock it. So I just unlocked it again using that.
Fantastic.
And then I locked it back with my finger. But then if you want to add, this holds 50 fingerprints. And so if you look here, there's a bunch of fingerprints. There's an owner and a user, because this is the gun we use when we go to do trade shows. And so like
everyone has one.
We labeled them and you know, but like my left thumb is one time, my left index, I put it in twice, you know,
right.
Just in case it's the tip or just the part. So
absolutely.
So, but that's the setup. I mean, this is it. And it's pretty simple, but I'll show you that video real quick.
Please, yeah.
We'll do plus, and I'll add a left thumb. I'll do another left thumb on the thing. And so what it does, oops, hold on.
Take your time.
Yeah, I know, right? It has the videos that's showing them how to do it now.
Yes. That's
so that
fantastic.
So that it helps. And then you just hit continue. And then when I do it on the back of the gun, it's just green, blue, green. I don't even have to be looking at the app.
Right.
I just look at the back of the gun. So now that works. And I just unlocked it.
Absolutely. So, would you mind in one string showing how the 3 ways of unlocking the gun in a row? I think that'd be really cool to capture with you.
Sure. So the first way, let's see. So we're going to unlock it and lock it in 3 ways. We'll start with, I'm going to set the gun down because we'll start with the app and I'll show you the back of the gun. So the back of the gun right now, can't unlock it. And if I just press, whoops, I'm trying to press it. Hold on.
That's okay. I get it.
It's hard.
So it's your phone. It's not the gun. Don't worry.
Right. It's here. And if I go like that, oh, can I get it? There we go. And you can see the back of the gun went red.
Yes.
And then I can lock it back using the app. And then you could
Fantastic.
do it again. So that's one of the 3 ways. And then if I lock it back this way, I can unlock it here and lock it back with the biometric. And then I've programmed a code in. It's like I said, this is our trade show gun. And so it's just a code that I put in and it's unlocked. So,
Fantastic.
and then I can lock it back and I can lock it back with the PIN code. But the key thing to know is if you unlock it, it stays unlocked until you tell it to change. And that's pretty important. Now, if you've made the decision, if the battery gets critical, I want it to lock, then it's going to. We also made it to where if somebody puts the firearm on a charger, maybe they forgot to lock it. If they put it on the charger after 1 minute, it's going to lock. So I just want it for kids, and
Yes.
if others walk in your house, just, I want it to be locked. We're erring on the side of making it safe. So
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I think that was really cool. I also want to pull that clip for social media. So, yes, I'm someone who has a Mossberg 940 590, excuse me, I get them confused. Pump action shotgun on my bookshelf, and then I
okay,
have blades hanging from the walls because I've found pretty blades, and I hang them up. So if I had to baby proof this house, it would be a process. And so I can't imagine like having to be in a home. Like one day I'll go down that road, hopefully like 5 years from now. I need time to advance my career. Anyway, when I have little ones running around, this will just be something to give me peace of mind. I can imagine that
yeah,
that would be really great, especially like it might be the gun for a common space as opposed to maybe my office that's already locked. That gun may be a little
right,
bit more accessible to me. So, you know, in my life today, it's in the room that has the most traffic, I would say. And I chose it for that room in particular.
right,
So yeah,
right.
gosh, this has been wonderful.
One last thing I'll tell you
Oh,
is
yeah.
when there's no LED in the back, that just means that the gun is locked.
Okay.
You don't do anything. It literally shines red. Now we've had some people say, "Man, can you make that red go away?" And I said, "Maybe." But
Ma-
like we did all these focus groups and people like seeing red is dead, red is hot,
yeah.
red's hot.
Yeah.
And but the other thing when we did the focus group, and I'll tell you
Hmm.
about that, is
Please.
if you do your charger right now, if you press the button, the
Uh-huh.
lights get lighter. And then you press it again, they get lighter. So we have 3
Okay.
levels of intensity
There you
because
go.
our marketing person, well, Laurel was testing it, and she goes, "Ginger, the LEDs are too bright. You
Mm,
got to fix that." And we
interesting.
can. And we
That's
did.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
So,
that. I am like, it has to be zero lights in my room when I sleep at night.
yeah.
So for that person that's like, oh, heck no, I'm not gonna have any lights, that's great that you offer those options. I like the red. Um, to me, it's like
Yeah.
it's a confirmation that it's also ready to go. Like it gives me that
Ready to go.
visual. Yeah. And then also, I mean, it's the same concept as a mechanical safety. When you clear the safety, you have that little red dot. Like I like that. I don't know about you
Yeah.
guys, but like I can't remember when I'm playing basketball which hoop is mine. So like I'm sure as heck not going to remember which direction is safe and unsafe, So like I mean like
Yeah.
with the new gun especially. So I love
Yeah.
that you offer that. That's fantastic. Yeah, I love that. And I'd love to know first of all, guys, this is just a part 1. I'm looking forward to sitting down with you again. If you have more team members you
Well,
want
I
to add.
mean, your stuff is so fun and
Thank you.
interesting, and I like the description. So when I had heard fit for FIA, I didn't know why. I thought it was the firearm was fit for FIA, but
Ah,
it's not. It's the content is fit for you. I think that's so cool because then
thank
you
you.
can go anywhere. You
Right.
can do anything.
Plausible
Yeah.
deniability. We love some plausible deniability. Anytime someone writes and they're like, well, this just wouldn't work for me, I'm like, hello. Let me tell you about my username that you had to tag to comment this,
Mhm.
you know. Um actually the behind the scenes story is I started as a fitness influencer and Fia was taken. Thank God. How embarrassing. How would that be? I don't know. But it turned into I was like, well, I'll just put what fits for me. And then when I started posting gun content, I people started really knowing me like that and it just felt wrong to change my name. And so now I've turned it into a little bit of a tagline. So,
It's
um,
kinda cool. I mean,
yeah,
I think
thank
it's
you.
awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And kind of just, I think this would be a perfect bow on this. Why is the name Lodestar, if you don't mind?
So, the CEO was, living and working in Texas a lot of his life. He wanted Lone Star,
Ah,
right?
right.
And it was taken. And then he started thinking about True North and Lodestar and meeting your mission.
Oh, I
And
love
so
that.
that's how he came to the name. And it was funny, somebody owns I think they own lodestar.com or something, and I tried to buy it 4 years ago or
Oh,
something.
man.
And and it was somebody doing some work for defense or something, I don't know. And he said, "Well, I'm going to retire and then you can buy it." But then when he was retiring, we were starting to our way. And so he knew he could charge a lot for it. So I said, "Nah, nope. We got it covered. We're good."
Yeah. Oh, dang. Ah, yeah.
Well,
People.
lodestartech.com is, I mean, it is um well, and you know social, right? And as we were developing the website, I'll tell you this other story.
Go
So
for it. Yeah.
when we were first thinking about Lodestar, we really are thinking about, I want this tech licensed into every OEM if I can. I
Hmm.
mean, just one gun in their arsenal, not all of them. And so we were making the website talking about the tech. And then we used this tool called Ugly Baby. And
Huh.
what they say is, um, your mom won't tell you you're ugly, but your baby's ugly, but we will. And it has people go onto your website, and as they're navigating your website, they're talking. Oh, why did they do this? Oh, that didn't work. This is terrible. Oh my gosh. I don't
Oh,
even understand what this is. So we did that. And
okay.
as we did it, what we learned is we they couldn't tell we were selling a gun that has a charger. So you change your
Interesting.
pictures, right?
Right.
They We didn't have the little Visa and um, Discover and an Amex little cards at the bottom. And somebody goes, "Well, there's no trust. I mean, they don't even have basic credit cards." And I'm like,
Oh.
"Oh."
Oh. That's
So many
interesting.
things that we learned. And so I'm really proud of Lodestar. Well, and even the About You page, it had a picture of me and my co-founder, and it's like,
Uh-huh.
okay, listen, that's some old people. Let's tell the real story. It's the innovation, it's the patents, we're making it in Chattanooga. It's USA made.
Yeah.
And let's tell that. And so that About page, that's how it looks. And
Incredible.
yeah,
That's
so
incredible. Yeah, being made in the USA is very rare, right? Because even I think even Walther, it's made in Germany, but it's assembled in
yeah,
Fort Smith.
yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
they're getting a lot of components made in the US now.
Oh, they are.
And
Okay,
they're
very
making
cool.
a lot, like they're making their slides and barrels, and they're making a
Oh,
ton.
nice. I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
that wasn't to say anything. You guys know I love Walther, so that's not to say anything bad, but I'm just saying like, the one touch point I do have, I thought that that was all in Germany, but it's cool to know that that's in the US
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
too. But yeah, what a proud thing to be able to say. Like that's really
Right.
wonderful.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love we're making something where people come to work, they're paid a good paycheck, they get health care, they can develop a skill set that we've lost our first hire. Our first hire left us, but he
Mm.
left us because he was so intrigued with the electronics. He went back to school to get his electronics engineering degree.
Oh, wow.
And so, and it's like, I get chills because if we can help people, oh my gosh.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Oh gosh, it's been so wonderful to learn your story and learn it. This wasn't a very like tech heavy conversation, but you still, you talked about how it applies to the everyday consumer and as well as fail safes and redundancies. And this is all very valuable to me. I joke that the podcast is my most selfish and selfless endeavor in one because I get to ask the questions I want to ask, but then I get to share it as a resource at no cost. And
Yeah.
so it's really exciting to have this as a reference. I learned so much from you today just watching you do this process. Some of it I was like, I actually forgot that aspect of this gun that I own. So that was very helpful to me. And I hope anyone listening, you're just encouraged to go look at their website, learn more, ask questions. Are these going to be available in major ranges for like being not major ranges is a weird way to ask that there's no like
I
true major
understand.
range. You know what I'm trying to say? For
Yeah, yeah.
loan to test or
We are partnering with as many ranges as we can. We're developing all of those relationships. Yes, because we want people to hold it, touch it, feel it,
yeah.
um, because it sells. And it's about the convert. That they once they get it
Yeah.
and can hold it and see, it's like yeah,
Yeah. That's usually how products like this go, I feel like, just because there's so much skepticism and like, I remember seeing it in Hollywood and thinking, "Oh, cool, that's a Hollywood thing." So this is very cool. There are a few ranges in Utah. I need to make sure you guys are
yeah.
communicating
Well,
with
and
because
and it's like what we're learning is if people walk in and ask for it, those people call us and say, "Can I get a demo?" And we offer them demo guns.
that's
I mean,
fantastic.
at a basically our cost,
Right.
because we want them to be comfortable with the range people to be comfortable with it, be able to sell it, be able to talk about it. So if anybody who's listening and talking to us, if go into your range and ask for it, because then they'll call us and we'll
Right.
get them one fast.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. That's fantastic. That's so good to know. And who should, as far as like people that have questions and want to speak directly to your team, what's the best way to get in contact with you all?
they just call us.
Amazing.
I got to tell you the phone number, and this is where I'm gonna mess up. So I'm
Well,
gonna
I
ask.
will actually,
Oh,
so
I
you
got
know,
it.
oh,
Eight
okay,
eight eight 415 3010.
perfect. I will put that in the show notes as well, which are the notes below the podcast title. So if you're listening and you'd like to check out the website, you'd like to give them a call directly, scroll down and all that information will be available for
Yeah,
you.
contact at lodestartech.com as well. If they just want to
Fantastic.
write an email and not call.
Okay,
And
beautiful.
we answer the phone.
I
I
believe
mean,
that.
we do.
Yeah. Yes. I love how accessible you all are, as well as tight knit. You have an awesome team and very like women heavy.
Well,
I
it's
love that.
funny. I was telling them yesterday that we have more. We have. It's awesome because Laurel and I worked together at Smith and Wesson, and she ran marketing there, um, and then my daughter runs operations. She is an engineer from University of Alabama, and
Fantastic.
so we uh, we sometimes overwhelm uh, overwhelm people because
Yeah,
we have a lot of high energy, and it is a
that's
good
beautiful.
team. Yeah.
I love that. I get told that all the time. Like I have a lot of high energy, just I have high energy in general for like being in this industry and like doing what I do. And a lot of people are jaded in the industry. And like,
Oh,
I think this is an industry of people who have come from negative experiences coming to a space where they, adopted firearms as a way to, feel some sense of power or encouragement and confidence. And so there's a lot of kind of trauma, I feel like, circulating in this industry. And that's what I've at least observed. So when you're like a genuine person who's kind and like can bring something good to the table with good energy, I think it sometimes can look and feel rare. So,
well, it's interesting. There was a man who came up to us at our booth at the NRA,
mhm.
and he happened to be an owner of Range USA. And and I was showing him the firearm, and I thought he's the owner of a range. I thought he would know firearms.
Yeah.
And he really didn't. And I said, okay, so now I'm confused. Now I'm confused. Why did you start Range USA? Why? He goes, because I bought my first firearm and I went to go get help in training, and it was the worst experience I could ever have. And I decided I'm going to do something better. And he goes, and you go to a Range USA. I don't know if you've ever visited one, but they are
Mm-mm.
bright and clean and open and welcoming, and they are teaching. And so we're like, okay, he goes, and I want this gun in my ranges because this fits our mission. This fits for people who have a specific need. And so, yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
I love that.
They have over 50 locations. They're all over the United States.
Huh, where have I been? I didn't know that. So that's so good to know. I love
Yeah.
that. And I'm so excited to you sent me the optics ready version. I'm excited to get the optic mounted and train with that and be able to come back with some more kind of pointed questions after that experience and also share my experience on my platforms. Of course I made sure made sure I could access the gun and I've shot about probably 300 400 100 rounds through it, so enough to get a good
Sure.
feel for it. My guy also shot it and he was like, whoa, he's new to firearms, and he was like, this is actually really comfortable. We both had the same reaction there,
Nice.
again just with no kind of
Love that.
expectations, right? And so, for those of you following along, I'll have to have Ginger back on for a part 2 minimum. We'll have to talk a lot more about this. Ginger, I always ask people before the episodes end what you would like to leave the listeners with. What would you want to leave them with?
Go to the website, look at what we're doing, and determine, is this something that you would be interested in? And either buy it online and we'll drop ship it to your FFL. We have inventory. You're not waiting. It's not like you're going to give us money and then it's going to be weeks or months. We ship every day. And
Beautiful.
if you would rather see it first, walk into your dealer and go, "Hey, do you have this firearm?" And then we'll get them one. We'll get them one. So either way, just go check it out. Check it out. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes, please do. For those of you listening, I second that. Anything we talk about in the podcast, I like to give websites so that people can do their own research. And this is one of those situations. This would be great for that. So thank you so much for taking your time, especially with all the irons you have in the fires that you have. To come onto the podcast today. We had it, for those listening, we had a ton of technical difficulties. Speaking of tech,
Look at, I have these new ears.
Oh, perfect. I like it.
all,
You're decked
I mean,
out.
I'm really trendy now.
I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, we had to reschedule a few times and then I had to go home and visit family. Not had to, I was excited to, but a little bit last minute. And we are finally back. We got this episode in. I'm so happy to have it and just tell people about it because, again, I've just been telling people, like, guys, I got a biometric firearm. And they're like, whoa, like, I thought those
Yeah.
were only in like James Bond movies. So
I know.
it's
right?
nice to have, It's nice to have this episode to refer to. And with that, thank you again, Ginger.
Thank you.
Listeners, absolutely, listeners, stay safe and stay vigilant.